Last week, we got a short recap of Jinwoo's growth across the first 7 episodes of Solo Leveling, and there's no better glow-up highlight reel in recent anime history than his. From not being able to deal with goblins to taking down an A-rank dungeon boss all by himself, the boy has come a long way. But it looks like he's about to reach a crossroads in his life, and full disclosure, we're basing this off the title of episode 8. The name of the episode is This Is Frustrating. The opener to the final quarter of Solo Leveling Season 1's phenomenal run is likely going to see Jinwoo struggle with the choices he's made and will have to make, as he will be reminded of where it all began. And we're here to give you a sneak peek at all of the action about to unfold. Put your spoiler hats on if you haven't read the manhwa, because we're about to make it rain. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. The Hellhound Slayer. Jinwoo vs. Cerberus is proof of Sung's solo leveling progress. Episode 7 was mostly focused on following up on the aftermath of what happened in Episode 6, which was Jinwoo killing an entire squad of hunters in self-defense. But the closing stages of the episode did give us an intense action sequence in the form of Jinwoo vs. Cerberus. Solo Leveling has been getting a lot of praise for paving the path when it comes to bringing anime adaptations of manhwas to the mainstream, and that fight validated those claims, at least in our eyes. The anime has been making slight alterations to the source material since the beginning, as we've been pointing out on our previews and breakdowns if you've been keeping up with those. For instance, we've met many key characters way before we were supposed to, like Cha Hang, and a few events have had things added onto them. The first instant dungeon Jinwoo cleared in the anime had him face off against goblins before the Lycans and Kasaka. In the manhwa, there were no goblins, it was just the Lycans and Kasaka. The Jinwoo vs. Cerberus fight was the same in that regard, as certain things that happened during it never happened in the manhwa, or actually took place before the fight in the manhwa. For instance, Jinwoo using a healing potion from the system store isn't something that takes place in the manhwa. It's a nice little detail that adds more depth to the anime, as it makes you sure of just how good a player Jinwoo has become at the game. He has enough knowledge about the system to use it tactfully during emergencies, something that is mostly implied in the source material. Him cursing the fact that each health potion only gets him 100 health points adds a sense of peril to the fight that's missing from the manhwa, and this is the way Jinwoo finally defeats Hell's Gatekeeper. The anime sets up Great Kandahar's blessing at the beginning of the episode when it shows Jinwoo's beer getting treated. Our man goes on a beer binge to try to catch a buzz, but keeps failing because this skill basically neutralizes the effects of all poisonous substances entering his body. Now, in the manhwa, he instantly makes the connection and drinks Kasaka's venom to give himself a physical damage resistance buff. The blessing cancels out Kasaka's poison and gives Jinwoo the advantage of the liquid instead. This makes his battle with Cerberus more calculated and frankly one-sided. In the anime, Jinwoo doesn't make the connection until he's in the middle of his fight with Cerberus, and after that he has a pretty epic, heroic face-off with the beast. In the manhwa, he coldly brutalizes Cerberus after the initial wrath attack, and doesn't go ham with the stabs like that. Cerberus was an A-ranked boss, which goes to show you just how much Jinwoo had progressed as a hunter himself. He's at least A-rank at the end of the episode, and well on his way to becoming S-rank. Anything below that stands no chance against him, and this will be a crucial fact to remember for episode 8. That's because Wu Jinchul's three-headed ache, Wang Dong-su, and Kang Tae-shik. Episode 7 highlighted Jinwoo's future best buddy, Wu Jinchul, still going through the trials and tribulations of being a Hunter Association executive. As of now, he isn't interested in Jinwoo as much as he is interested in the circumstances surrounding him. That's because not only was he a survivor of the double dungeon, he has also managed to land himself on the radar of one of America's most influential hunters, and will soon be in a conflict with one of Jinchul's subordinates. And in case you're wondering who it is, no, it's not the assistant dude who brings him the info doc in the mornings. But it is someone you've seen before, the purple-haired association member that came with Wu Jinchul the first time he met Jinwoo. And this guy is the reason we're calling what's about to happen to Jinchul a three-headed ache, because it involves keeping an eye on 2 people out for the third. One of them is doing so actively, and the other will just happen to find himself in such a situation. The first person's identity is easy to decipher from what we saw in episode 7. It's Wang Dong-su. If you've been following our content, you'll know why this guy is an absolute menace already. Episode 7 saw him make up his mind to travel to Korea and personally avenge his brother, which is going to cause all sorts of troubles for Jinchul from a public safety perspective. That's because Dong-su is even more reckless than his elder brother. And the fact that he's an S-rank hunter from another country makes gauging his actions from a diplomatic lens murky at best. As Dong-su's assistant pointed out, if he were to kill someone in Korea, he would end up being tried in the United States, as opposed to the hunter's equivalent of the ICJ. This is because America hasn't signed on to a treaty regulating the same, and given the fact that Korea has a handful of S-rank hunters on hand to deal with the national crisis, Jinwoo will be on high alert with regards to Dong-Su's arrival. The interactions between them are absolutely golden in the manhwa, so keep an eye out for that because it will likely occur in the next episode. And speaking of things likely to occur next episode, let's talk about the guy that'll serve as the next mini-antagonist on Jinwoo's path, Kang Tae-shik. Kang Tae-shik is a man that works for the Korean Hunter Association's monitoring department. His job is to oversee dungeons and hunters going into them on a nationwide basis, and it's because he's with the monitoring department that he shows up to check out Jinwoo after the double dungeon incident. But Kang has a darker, more psychotic side to it, which is the fact that he's a serial killer. This guy goes into dungeons not to kill monsters, but the humans that have been sent in to deal with them. Now, of course, being part of the monitoring department, he can't just kill any random hunter. That would draw too much attention towards him. So what Kang does is he goes after rehabilitators, criminals that used to be hunters and are now working off their sentences by raiding dungeons. Containing dungeons is the top priority on the national security item list of every nation in the world of solo leveling. The number of awakened humans is far lower than the number of regular humans, and even amongst the awakened, not everyone is cut out for being a hunter, as you'll see soon enough. Dungeon breaks can be fatal for the population of the regions where they occur, as you saw in the beginning of episode 1. That sequence was from a raid on Jeju Island, a South Korean territory where an S-rank dungeon broke, and the whole place is now uninhabitable. So, using criminals is a necessary evil of sorts, but think of Kang Tae-shik as the final act Light Yagami from Death Note. This guy gets off on killing criminals to satisfy some sort of twisted god complex, and he isn't above killing anyone that catches him in the act, which is what brings us to the key link in this whole equation, Jinwoo. Dong-Su is looking for him, and Kang is about to run into him thanks to his association business. As much as Woo would like to ignore the truth about Jinwoo being the axis around which all of the recent developments rotate, he's about to be forced to accept it in the most bureaucratic way possible. But speaking of Jinwoo, why is Jinwoo about to get frustrated? What you can expect from episode 8. If we go back to the start of the series, what was the reason we were given for Jinwoo being a hunter? That he needed enough money to support his family, right? Especially his mother, who has fallen into the mana-based coma-like condition called eternal sleep. The reason he accepted Dong-Suk's job listing in episode 6 was because of the easy money it promised. Whatever happened in the dungeon itself was mere happenstance. But then why did Jinwoo reject Jinho's proposal in episode 7 if money is his main concern? Well, to put it plainly, it isn't. Jinwoo still hasn't quite fully processed the events of the double dungeon or what he's done since then. He's grown at an unprecedented rate, and during this time he is focused on himself and himself only. Because Jinwoo rejected Jinho's guild offer, he'll have to stick to the association for jobs, which doesn't pay as well, but it's steady work. It's during one of these raids that he will be reunited with the other survivors of the double dungeon and realize just how much he wants to say to those people, especially the ones that abandoned his plan and left him to die. He is also still unclear on exactly who gave him the system and for what purpose. In the manhwa, his plan is to exploit the system and make it work for him, but the anime has taken a more balanced approach to this aspect of the story in that they're fleshing it out low and slow. Defeating Cerberus also gave him the formula for a potion that could potentially cure his mother's condition, but in order to use it, Jinwoo needs to enter the Demon Castle, which is an S-ranked dungeon to begin with. The instant dungeon right outside of it must have at least been a very high B rank, if not an A rank, considering Cerberus was guarding it, and it's beyond the S-rank doors of the castle that Jinwoo will find the crafting materials he needs. After defeating Cerberus, he's painfully aware of how much progress he needs to make in order to even survive in that place. And catching up to that level at this point in time isn't possible for him. He really wants to see his mother get better as soon as possible, and without Jinho's money, his progress stalling, and reminders of the day his life changed coming back to him at the same time, he can get overwhelmed. Not to mention, he's about to fight a serial killer that specializes in hunting hunters, so he's got a lot on his plate to say the least. It's going to be interesting to see what he does next, isn't it? Well, we already know, and believe us, it's worth the wait, obviously, but we hope this preview gave you a taste of what to expect and got you excited for the same as well. Marvelous verdict! Unfortunately, that's all we've got for you guys, at least for this video. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep leveling, levelers.